Greetings and welcome, viewers. I am your host and storyteller, Sylvanov. Thank you for joining us while we delve into the world of darkness with Vampire the Masquerade. This stream is intended for a mature audience and does contain mature themes that may not be suitable for all viewers. This game revolves around a dark horror theme and contains content that may be an emotional trigger for some audience members. Please keep in mind that this is a work of fiction. The views and actions of the characters are not explicitly the views or actions of the actual players. At no time should any of the violence or horror portrayed in our game be attempted by anyone at any time for any reason. Please sit back, grab a drink and a snack, and join us on the shadowy path that is the world of darkness. And now, before we start, please meet and welcome our players for the evening.
Good evening, fellow kindred. I am Raven and I play Annabelle, the Nosferatu.
Good evening, everyone. I am canadasamson and I'm playing Virginia Stone, the Toreador.
Good evening, y'all. I'm Sailirish on Twitch. I'll be playing Tim the Bruja.
Good evening. I am the blood puppet of Miss Annabelle. Mr. White.
Good evening. My name is Major Delaney, and we have so much to look forward to. Oh, I'm also Mickey.
Cool. Yeah, I'm Chase. I'm playing Jonathan Keats, the Thin Blood. So we'll see where this goes.
Again, welcome, viewers. Thank you for joining us this evening. I hope you were with us last week. Mr. Delaney, if you would kindly give us a brief recap for our viewing audience.
Well, last week, Mr. Keats kindly acquiesced to my wishes that he rejoin us at the table, and in the process therein ran into a certain Mr. Samuel Smith in the atrium. Upon a brief greeting to each other, Mr. Keats was ushered into the boardroom once again and relieved of his restraints. He swore fealty and loyalty to not only the Major but the Tower at large, earning his place at the table. Mr. Samuel Smith was then led in and made aware of his many and severe sins against the Camarilla. He was forced to take the bond from Miss Stone, as well as future swearing of fealty to his primogen, as the primogen is owed. After that, we all went to bed for the evening. Meals were had. Mr. Keats decided it was a good idea to attempt to eat one of my soldiers. We will still be discussing that, Mr. Keats. Miss Annabelle and Mr. White had an interesting time with their repast. Miss Stone had a lovely Italian gentleman visit her. And for myself, I acquitted myself of mealtime with equal
Thank
pleasure.
you for the bits.
And after that, we got down to the brass tacks of the necessary steps needed to repair the many breaches in the Masquerade that have occurred. And in doing so, Miss Stone made an oopsie. He decided to, as the title of the previous episode indicates, drop a manhole cover on Mr. Toon. So now, we, the coterie of Jude, are en route to speak with the chief of police so that we can
Dampen the flames.
something to that effect, yes.
If you're new to our stream, welcome. We do have the dumpster fire well in effect, as we do every week. It is a seat at our table, a regular fixture.
Not for long.
So
we hope.
the members of our coterie exiting the building in mass, save one Sam Smith, who was instructed to stay behind by Miss Virginia Stone. The blacked out Suburbans filling with personnel, a sum total of 12, alongside the first loaded with our coterie members. And off they drive. Heading where first?
I don't think we discussed a stop. I think we were heading straight there.
Yes, I'm currently
Yes.
going to relay orders to my soldiers to situate themselves in an inner and an outer cordon around the chief of police's abode, excuse me, and prevent entrance or egress from the area.
So it is approximately
then-
10 p.m. when you all head out from the estate. Virginia, having a record of where Chief Thompson lives, gives instructions to the three drivers, and you all head out into the direction of Gainesville, a bit west of Manassas. Finding your way to his home is not hard. He lives in a fairly nice neighborhood of large single-family homes, all with an acre or two of land each, trees separating properties, so it is a bit secluded. Chief Thompson's house is a wonderful colonial 2-story home, probably a good 4,000 square feet. It's a nice sizable house. Couple of cars in the driveway, a well-marked chief of police SUV sitting in the driveway, couple other cars. There's lights on, and movement can be seen as you approach the drive heading into the house or heading up to the property. I would assume the drivers know to kill lights and to be quiet. How far out do you exit the vehicles?
Well, the other vehicles and personnel are going to again establish said cordon. I'm going to give Martin orders to make us aware of any surveillance that may be on the chief's house, so that we can either subvert it or deal with it as is necessary.
Unfortunately, Martin is still occupied doing what you sent him off to do.
Then I will ask Mr. Winter to do so.
Mr. Winter, more than capable of filling the role. Winters is more than capable of filling the role, giving the men their orders. They exit the SUVs and swiftly make two lines surrounding the property, one towards the perimeter and another one closer in, each taking up as best they can a low profile.
Then myself and Miss Stone will approach the domicile to discuss matters with the chief of police. And Mr. Toon, Miss Annabelle, Mr. Keith, and Mr. White will remain outside to keep a weather eye out for any potential inconveniences.
Are the four of you staying in the vehicle or getting out, or at least in the vehicle, you're behind darkly tinted windows, some form of obscurity?
Yeah, I was going to plan on staying in the car. I'm persona non grata in the surrounding area, so we'll just
Same here.
lay low until that's handled.
Same here. I'll be staying in the vehicle unless Annabelle orders me out.
No. Annabelle is going to stay in the vehicle as well, because so she can keep an eye on Mr. White.
All right. Virginia and the Major exit the vehicle. The proximity lights on the chief's home. Yes, sir.
Blush of life.
Okay. Please
Same.
rouse. Please rouse.
Same. Good.
Just a second here. Oh, really? There we go. Success.
Excellent. The two of you walk the rest of the way up the drive onto the 4 steps of his little semicircular patio and approach the door. Knocking, ringing doorbells, yelling. What are we doing?
Ring the doorbell.
The doorbell rings. You can hear movement inside the house. A couple moments later, the bulky appearance of Chief Marty Thompson fills the glass of the front door. He kind of peers out a little bit, seems a bit surprised as he opens the inner door. Not opening the storm screen door, but he opens the inner door. Hello,
Good evening,
Virginia
Chief Thompson.
and friend.
Yes, hello. My name is Major Delaney. We have much to discuss this evening. If you would be so kind as to invite us into your lovely home.
Do you, what? Virginia, why are you at my home?
I just wanted to discuss some potential business matters with you, if you don't mind. I was in the neighborhood with my friend here, and we figured we'd stop in.
He looks back again to the Major, looks out, sees the Suburban parked in his driveway, notices, you can see he's counting heads. He can't see who's in the vehicle, but through the windshield, it's easy enough to go 1, 2, 3, 4. We just had a phone call. This is really, really irregular.
Yes, I'm sure it is, old man, but unfortunately the minutiae must be addressed, and that is best done in person. Hence why we have made ourselves available to one of your esteem.
You
Now,
can come to my office tomorrow. That would be more than fine. This is my private home. What are you doing here?
as I'm sure you're well aware of,
Sorry.
Chief, people with titles like ours are never really off duty, and as I said earlier, this is a matter of some importance. And it would benefit you greatly to discuss it with us.
So talk.
Good sir, I'm not going to stand outside and discuss these issues with you. If you would be so kind as to invite us in, and we will find
I
a
think-
comfortable place to.
What are you
Sorry.
saying, Virginia?
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll wait a second.
If you would be so kind as to invite us in, offer us something to drink, that would be most appreciated.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I'm going to use an ability I haven't used yet. I am going to pop some majesty in this bitch.
Okay.
Or at least awe. I think actually I'll just pop awe.
You don't have entrancement?
I do.
Use that. That's the
That's
thing
what
you
I might
should
actually-
use.
So
Point taken. Entrancement it is.
So
Go through all
what
of
are
my
we doing?
skills. I'm going to entrance this fine gentleman, and I assume I need to rouse for it,
you
Yes.
do.
and I have succeeded.
A moment. Why am I feeling blind right now? A moment. Okay, so that's your charisma and presence.
Yes. And it's a social thing, so I think I get another one. So that's like what am I? That's like 9 dice. I have a critical success. Well, 7 successes. So
Okay. You definitely have his attention as the look on his face seems to empty a bit.
now, Chief Thompson, it would be very improper to have this conversation out here. My feet are very tired from managing the club today, and I think we are friendly enough at this point to have a drink over this and enjoy a little bit of company while we talk.
Of course. How rude of me. Forgive me. I'm sorry. As he opens the storm door. Please, come in. He calls out over his shoulder as he holds the door open. Joanne, we have company. Please, come in.
And I walk in.
And the major will give a quick nod and step across the threshold.
So noted. You said drinks. You wanted drinks. Please come in. And he leads you into his home. Goes into the dining room area, which is adjacent to a bar that he has, where he quickly grits 3 glasses, pulls out a decanter, and pours a trio of drinks, setting them at seats at the table. His wife quickly shows up as he's putting the decanter down. Marty, I didn't know we were planning on company this evening. Oh, this is Miss Virginia Stone. She owns the new club in town, and this is her friend,
Major Delaney.
Major Delaney.
I'm going to reach over and try to warmly shake her hand.
She shakes your hand. She nods and smiles.
You must be the lovely wife. A pleasure to meet you.
Joanne, please. Just Joanne is fine. Welcome to our home. Marty, can I get you and your guests anything?
Madam, whilst your hospitality is much appreciated, we do have some rather sensitive issues to discuss with the chief. Would you mind perhaps adjourning to another room and maybe watching some telly or perhaps reading a book in bed?
She looks quizzically between the 3 of you.
I'm going to try and persuade her to do so. I'm going to use my manipulation plus persuasion.
Excellent.
I'm going to rouse to get an extra 2 dice. I'm just trying to persuade her to go fuck off. That is 1, 2, 3, 4 successes.
Again, she looks between the 3 of you quizzically. Marty puts a hand on her shoulder. He says, "It's all right, dear. We'll How about we talk in my office?
Wonderful.
Please, this way. We won't be but a few minutes, dear. He takes his drink and leads the way down the hallway to his office, which is quite a nice office. He's got a large wooden imposing desk. He's got some bookshelves and accolades hanging on the wall, pictures and awards and what have you of his many years of service. He takes a seat behind the desk and motions for the two of you to take a seat. You wanted to talk about business?
Yes. I assume that this room has been swept for any listening devices fairly regularly, given the importance of your position, sir.
He kind of shakes his head a little misgivingly. Virginia, who is this guy?
I'm going to reach my hand out across the desk and look him square in the face and say, I trust this man implicitly.
Well, you're in my home, so it's safe in my home.
Very good, sir. Now, to the matter at hand. Previously, you had a conversation with Miss Stone in which she inquired about certain parties.
Yeah, it was a strange conversation.
What are your thought processes on this conversation?
He sits back a little bit in his chair and kind of gets a poker face. I don't know you. And you've come to my home in the middle of the night to talk business, and you asked me about a conversation I had with her? Who are you?
My name is Major Delaney. I run let's call it a security concern. And I've recently arrived to these shores and am working with several prominent individuals to improve the security of Prince William and the surrounding areas.
And this has what to do with me exactly?
Well, you're the chief of police.
Yeah, I am. What kind of security are you talking about?
Well, as you know, there's several high-end concerns in the field of technology around here. There's also agricultural concerns and whatnot. And I think it would be beneficial for someone like me who does the job that I do and someone like you who does the job that you do to have a mutually beneficial relationship.
How is that exactly, Mr. Delaney?
Major Delaney, sir. As I'm sure you're well aware of, when it comes to private security concerns, certain measures must be taken in order to secure the properties in question. Now, what's the colonial word for it? The inalienable rights of certain individuals may or may not be infringed upon in certain instances, but one does what one must when doing the job that they've been hired to do.
And what exactly have you been hired to do, Major Delaney?
As I said, I provide security, Chief Thompson. And as I also said, there are several concerns in the region, agricultural, technology, things of this nature. Patents that must be secured and protected against those that would steal them that sort of thing. I provide security to make sure that these things stay where they're supposed to stay. Does that make sense? Does that clarify things?
Well, I understand what you're saying. I'm still trying to understand why you're in my home. I'll give both of you a wits and awareness.
I have 4 successes.
Hold on, let me see. I need that. Okay. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven.
The both of you, between his his speaking, when he takes a pause, can hear a muted click from behind and underneath the desk.
Given my background, would I understand what this click is?
Some kind of switch or button being depressed in
Okay.
some way. Given the surroundings, it's
What's that?
given the surroundings, it's very likely to be some kind of either panic or alert button.
I very much wish you had not done that.
I'm still waiting for you to. Why? And he keeps looking back at Virginia because he's still in the effects of the entrancement. He's trying to give you his attention and trying to stay focused.
So I think I'm going to lead in and say, Major Delaney has been brought in by some of my own superiors and my partners with the Haven Club, with my club, concerning some of the security issues that have been going on in this area, the horrible crime rate. My investors are concerned with the safety of the area, and they enlisted the help of Major Delaney and his firm in securing some of our assets.
Okay, but are you? I'm really at a loss here as still why you're in my home at 10 o'clock at night.
Because, dear sir,
Is there
I wish
some
to come
reason
to-
we can't talk down at the station at my office? Is there some reason that this intrusion is warranted?
Can I roll a wits insight to see if this guy's trying to put the shine on, or if he's just genuinely confused?
Go ahead and roll your wits and insight. There's an application here for that.
Oh God, for a second I thought ones took away. We're good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 successes.
He seems to be drawing things out. He seems to be procrastinating or stalling in some way.
I
Outside.
am merely, yes.
I will give the 4 of you a wits and awareness roll.
What's the awareness? Got it. That is 6.
I got 3.
So all but Annabelle notice a very brief strobe light flashes twice on the side of the house.
Let me give Tim a look.
Looks like company.
I will immediately dash out of the car.
Nah, I'm gonna stop him.
What do you do to stop him? Hey, several things happen at once.
I'm gonna grab him and keep him from leaving the vehicle, basically.
Is that a contested thing, Jonathan, or like
No, I'm just gonna be like
you go and he
they
grabs?
have to. Right now, the major is like the only assurance that I have that like things are going to be okay for my interest. So I'm going to be like, get the fuck off me. They have to know something's
got
up.
his people. He's got his people. They're around. They will let him know. Us interfering is only going to make it worse.
Can
If
you
we're
at least
needed-
call or message one of them?
Is there anyone else in the vehicle with us?
My
driver.
driver is still in there, and he's got me on an earwig. So
Yeah.
One of us would tap the driver and tell him.
well, no, the driver has me on an earwig.
What would you have him say? I mean, he's
There
right
was
there
a
in the vehicle.
strobe flashed out here. He's drew attention to his residence for a reason. There's someone in the area that we may have not seen yet.
You see the driver reaches up, touches the earpiece in his ear, whispers very quietly. There seems to be a little pause. There's a little bit more whispering. What is noticeable is that the inner 6 people that were closer to the house, at least the 3 that you guys can see, get closer. They close their distance a bit, still trying to remain unseen and low profiled, but they definitely move up. What you hear, Major, in your ear is that a security strobe has been triggered.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's on high alert.
I would like to make a rouse check to activate Mesmerize.
I'm going to be dropping entrancement at this point, I think.
Okay.
And I'm going to look the chief square in the face and say, now, Chief, if you would be so kind as to call your security team and tell them it was a false alarm.
Again, his face blanks a moment, looks at you a little dumb, shakes his head a moment. I don't have a security team to call.
Then what was that button you pushed?
That
I would like to insight that, by the way.
I didn't press a button. My hands are on the desk. What is going on
Okay,
here?
no, earlier you said we
Yes,
heard a button.
You heard the depressing and a soft muted click of something from underneath and behind the desk. He didn't put his hands underneath or reach for anything. That doesn't mean
Okay.
that there isn't something that can't be pressed.
I understand what you're saying now. Okay.
I think I want you to leave. The phone at his desk rings, and he goes to pick it up.
And
I mean, you still have the whole entrancement going. I mean, you guys have his undivided attention.
Yeah.
Mesmerize him again and say, tell whoever that is that it is a false alarm.
He picks up the phone. You can hear someone talking. Your trained ears, it sounds like what a security company would do. Mm-hmm. This is such and such security company. We got an alert. And instead of saying exactly what you said, peanut butter. And he hangs up the phone. I still think I would like you to leave.
Of course, Chief Thompson, we will leave very shortly.
I'm going to look him in the eyes again. And I'm going to activate Forgetful Mind.
Okay?
I need to roll for that.
Yes, please.
Manipulation plus dominate. I'm going to rouse to increase my manipulation. Ooh, and I get hungrier, but not for this roll. Wait. I think I have too many dice. Yep, 9. Okay. Okay, that's a critical. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 successes.
And what is it you want him to forget?
I'm going to say, let me pull you guys back up. I'm going to look him in his face and I am going to say, the phone call that you had with Miss Stone. She mentioned a fellow named William Abernathy.
William
Is the man
Abernathy.
He doesn't get to speak. He doesn't get to speak as I'm repainting his brain. The man she named was a man named William Abernathy, last seen heading west into Tennessee. You have never heard the name Tim Toon before in your life? And the suspect, William Abernathy, is still at large.
I'm sorry, why are you here?
Oh, we were just leaving, dear boy.
I think at this point, Virginia is going to reach into her purse and pull out a large bottle of fancy brandy that she does keep because of her specific feeding style. So it will be unopened and an expensive bottle of brandy. And she's going to set it on the desk and say, I just wanted to bring this to you to drop by and thank you for your patronage and everything you do for Prince William County. I was in the
You
neighborhood
didn't have
and I
to
thought
come
I
all
might
the
give
way
it to
out
you.
for that, Virginia. That's very kind of you.
I was in the neighborhood and I wanted to introduce you to someone who is helping me with my own security issues, the Major.
Yes, Major Delaney.
Yes,
Pleasure
I
to
had
meet you.
hoped.
I'm so glad you both stopped by. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure to meet you as well, Chief. Now, unfortunately, there's much to do before I go to bed. You understand, people in our positions very rarely get to sleep when we want to. And I will bid you both adieu. Miss Stone, I will see you out in the car.
Before I leave, I think I will turn to the chief one more time and say, I really do hope to see you at the club soon. We're going to be going through a little bit of rebranding, what with all
how
of the
exciting.
tragedies in the county. Yes, and I would love to have you and your friends back for a nice little VIP soiree, if you
He
will.
gets a little sly smile as you can clearly see he's recalling events past. Yeah. But keep it between us, okay?
Of course, always. Discretion.
Let me walk you out.
Of course.
Can't hear you, Mickey.
Is his wife there to bid us adieu as well?
She hears him coming out of the office and does meet the two of you in the foyer.
Lovely. I will take her hand, give a slight bow, and say, "It was a pleasure to meet you, madam. I'm sure I will never forget this encounter, and I will
Okay.
I will shake her hand as I leave one more time. And it was a pleasure finally meeting the Mrs. Thompson. Your husband is a very upstanding member of this community, and we appreciate his protection in these times.
She puts an arm around him and puts another hand on his chest in that cuddly kind of way, and he's a good man. And he opens the door.
Thank you for indulging us in this brief visit. Well, I hope we didn't trouble you too much.
Not at all.
And I will be calling upon you soon, Chief. I believe I have a wonderful 64 Bollinger that is right up your alley.
Sounds delightful. Drive safe, please.
Oh, always.
Will.
He looks a bit confused as the two of you exit his home. Closes the storm door and the inner door as the two of you walk back to the Suburban.
Once we get in, I will say to Mr. Winters, Mr. Winters, back to the estate, please.
Of course, sir. Everything okay?
Oh, nothing you can help with, Mr. Winters, but thank you. Call the teams in, get them rolling. Make sure you disperse the departure patterns so that nothing looks amiss.
He relays your message to the teams, and everyone makes a retreat.
How did it go?
Oh, given the, how shall I say, thickness of the chief, I believe I've come to understand why it is you all have so much trouble interacting with the mortals around here. Thickness isn't the right word. Belligerence. Bloody colonials.
Was he uncooperative, Major?
Not by the end of it.
The deceased sneaked his mark. Very well, Major.
Mr. Winters,
Yes,
notify the team back at the mansion to put an alert on search queries for a William Abernathy. Make sure that the Prince William police begin a manhunt for that individual. If they do not, remedial actions will be necessary.
Whitewash it, sir?
Pardon?
Would you like us to release photos of Mr. Abernathy?
Yes, give them something akin to the appearance of Mr. Toon, but not his exact visage.
He looks over his shoulder at Tim as Tim waves at him. Of course, sir.
Oh, and give him a rather unique tattoo as well. One that Mr. Toon does not have.
We'll see to it. We'll make sure it gets done.
Very good, Mr. Winters. Thank you.
By the time you leave the drive, you can see that the other two teams are re-entering their Suburbans that are on the street as you pull away, heading back to the estate.
So, Virginia, we covered everything that was talked about on the call.
Yes, he believes that he is looking for a man named William Abernathy, not Mr. Toon.
What about the favor that you said you were calling in for me?
I never specified who you were or what exactly the book. I think I told him you were a strange old hermit that writes a lot of myths and folklore, and to keep an eye out for a strange collection of books. I hope that doesn't offend. I do appreciate your writing style. I just don't think the chief would.
Yes, unfortunately, circumstances dictated a rather slapdash methodology as well as a hasty retreat. I swear. She owes me. Now, Miss Stone, let's talk about you.
On the drive back into Manassas from Gainesville, you do conveniently pass by both the two silos and the Haven Club, heading towards the regional airport where the estate is.
I want to I want to look at both of those locations and pay particular attention to any vehicles that look out of place.
Are you asking the driver to stop, or?
No, I'm player to storyteller. I basically want a wits and awareness roll.
By all means.
I got 3.
So as you're speeding down the Prince William Park or the 234 bypass, it looks like the Haven Club is in full swing. There's a good full parking lot. The two silos has a weekend event going on. It looks like the outdoor stage is lit up. There's a good crowd there as well. But as far as pinpointing anything that might stand out, really hard to do driving by on the highway.
Worth a shot.
You said you had a task for me, Major Sir.
Well, he probably does, but I do think he needs to.
It's either Major or Sir, not both, Mr. White.
Yes, Major.
The Major, for the first time since dealing with Mr. Smith, is visibly irritated. Mr. Winters, make sure that Mr. Spears comes and sees me as soon as we get back to the estate and he is done with his business.
Absolutely, Major. It's a short drive back to the estate.
I'm gonna awkwardly like shuffle like in the moving around in the vehicle and just like press the radio that I'm assuming is off and just slowly sit back down in my seat just so that we don't have to talk to each other, but also we don't have to be in silence.
Yep. So Jonathan futzes with the radio, finds a local station, turns on some tunes or news or what have you.
Yeah, it's going to be the news.
So WTOP it is. As traffic and weather on the 8s. There's not much mention from Manassas because WTOP is a DC metro station, talks about beltway traffic, what's going on, the weather. There's little news splits and blurbs about what's going on with the pandemic and things like that. Nothing really of note as the trip ends pulling up back at the estate. Crap, where'd my little window go? I lost a window.
As we exit the vehicles, I will look to Miss Stone. Miss Stone, we must have a discussion about
I will bow my head.
not only the appropriate place to use your powers, but the appropriate time to use your powers and the appropriate application of your powers. But that is not necessary right now. What is necessary right now is I need to see Sergeant Spears. Mr. Winters, has Sergeant Spears returned yet from retrieving Miss Stone's guest from her haven?
We checked in, sir. He's on his way. He's en route. It's an ETA
Brilliant.
of 8 minutes.
Brilliant. Tell him to make it 5.
At once.
I think you will notice for the first time tonight, Virginia will actually genuinely smile. Ah, my friend.
Mr. Toon, how were you dressed? Refresh my memory. How were you dressed the night that this incident occurred?
Which incident occurred?
When you slaughtered however many police officers you did,
If I remember correctly, the clothing are probably still in my vehicle.
how were you dressed?
Oh, jeans and a t-shirt. Nothing.
Yes, you will never be wearing jeans and a t-shirt for the foreseeable future. Oxfords, slacks, button-up, tie, coat.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Tim, there's a little itch in the back of your head. Little whispers of pompous ass, control freak. Are we really going to take this?
We're just going to keep quiet for right now. It's in our best interest.
Tim, I do think some of Freddie's things would fit you.
Does Freddy
Yo.
like black?
You'll
Yeah.
see Zeke stiffen
Perfect.
twice, grab the back of his neck audibly, and just stand there for several seconds as they both say the name Freddy.
Annabelle is going to turn towards the sound of the clap and just kind of look at Mr. White.
As is the Major. Is everything quite all right, Mr. White?
So I've been afflicted by a strange melody that whenever somebody uses that name, I seem to seize and see Milky White.
Sort your bloody self out, man.
As you wish, Major.
Now, Mr. Toon, I believe you had a list of people who were at a certain ritual. Let us move into the boardroom so that we can discuss this further, please.
Very well.
And I will make quick time 180 steps a second, or a minute, excuse me. A second. Jesus, I did not activate celerity, I swear.
Celerity.
Blink.
Right? I win.
Tim's like,
And-
that's my move.
Tim wins the race.
and very if walking looked angry, this is what my walking looks like.
He's got that very upright militaristic step going on. Body language a little less friendly. Before you actually get settled into the boardroom, Mr. Winters approaches. What are we to do with the individual when the sergeant arrives?
The sergeant has orders to take him to the guest rooms in the sublevel.
Of course. He should be arriving any minute.
Wonderful.
He excuses himself, leaving you all to handle your business.
Miss Stone,
Yes, Major Delaney.
whilst I understand the uncouth and inhospitable nature of that particular gentleman that we just had the unfortunate occurrence of dealing with, I very highly recommend that in the future you set a meeting place and then meet with him and then work your voodoo that you do to make him compliant. Do not discuss business with him over these dread machines.
I knew better.
Have we learned
My
our
apologies.
lesson? Have we learned? I don't want apologies. I want you to fix it, Miss Stone. Does anything else need to be said?
I don't think so, no.
Brilliant. I trust that in the future you will not make the same mistake again. Very good, all of you, exercising restraint when whatever it was happened on the exterior occurred. I commend you. Mr. Toon,
Major,
we were in the midst of a discussion when
indeed we were.
catastrophe struck. You were telling me the individuals present at a certain ritual.
Yes. The Bruja Primogen, Walter Quince, myself, Soraka, the sheriff of this domain, one individual who I now know to be a Mr. Theron, and 2 other members of Clan Bruja.
You understand how this looks for you, Mr. Toon.
I'm very aware.
You are already a member of a traitor clan. What assurances do I have that you are loyal?
What assurances would you like?
I would like for you to stand in front of the Primogen Council and declare these people
Yes?
under
The best.
the effects of Tremere blood sorcery, which will compel you to tell the truth.
The nice thing about the truth is you don't have to remember anything.
I understand that there is some trouble with the Tremere Primogen in this domain. What about the Regent of the Chantry? Or are they one and the same?
The Arcus Crowley.
You're
What about him?
definitely not one and the same.
Yeah, they're not.
That they're not one and the same, Major.
Which one can we rely upon? Who is loyal to the tower?
I don't have an answer for that, Major.
I would have said Crowley. However, I don't know that that is necessarily accurate.
You all do understand the task with which I am saddled is monumental and has the potential to have profound impact in all of your own lives. Miss Annabelle, you know the enemy the best.
Which
I'm not mistaken.
enemy do you mean, Mr. Major Delaney?
The ancient enemy of the Camarilla, of course, the Sabbat.
Indeed.
I have a feeling. Evidence fits theory, you understand, that those who will not be turned are being taken.
I 100% agree. The breadth of this problem would only be possible if the missing were missing.
And those that remain are either hard to get or
Compromised.
Compromise is too kind a word, Mr. Toon. I believe them to be traitors. As you have already stated, your own Primogen has taken part in the vinculum.
Yes.
You understand what this means, yes?
Not good things for Walter.
It means destruction, Mr. Toon.
Seems fair.
Now, who wants to tell me about the prince?
What an odd duck he is.
LED lights next to the handset on the boardroom table. Major, I've returned. Your guest is secured.
Very good, Sergeant. Please join us in the boardroom.
Absolutely, sir. Hangs up.
Major, something you might be interested in that I was unable to share with Mr. Costa before his absence. Again, I'm not familiar with the inner workings of your clan, but I understand there's some sort of board and they may be interested in this information. Anyway, there are certain commercial activities that were being interrupted by Walter.
Now is
I
not
know
the
that.
time for coquettishness, Mr. Toon. When you say certain activities, what do you mean? Certain interests, excuse me.
Human trafficking.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
You'll see Zeke turn away.
Oh, Mr. White, you have something to say about this in this regard.
No, see. Sorry.
Yes, Major, but it might not be the most pleasant of news.
Oh,
Very well. Mr. Costa, at least I assume to be Mr. Costa, and I.
keep it brief, Mr. White.
Mr. Costa and I believe, were in contact to facilitate those kidnappings from the harbor.
Oh, so you have a hand in high-profile illegal activity. For what end, Mr. White?
It was for a client.
Again, I say, now is not the time to be coy. Give me the details, Mr. White.
Claire ST, that would be Elizabeth St. Clair, correct?
That is correct.
One Elizabeth St. Clair.
And what
Major.
is she having these people moved for?
I truthfully do not know.
Hmm.
I just know that she asked me to send my best man to the harbor to make sure the shipping containers were in stock. And I was to pass them on to a Mr. C, who sounded an awful lot like Mr. Costa.
Hmm.
After which, it was out of my hands, sir.
Very
Major.
well, I shall follow up on this with other parties. Go on, Mr. Toon.
Anyway, there were a shipment was intercepted, and the payment was to be made. Walter bid me to retrieve said payment and bring it to him, which I did. Although I noticed an interesting thing when I dropped off the payment, which coincidentally was while the Haven Club was still under construction. There was a presence there, one who, from what I have heard from other kindred in the coterie since, is likely a La Sombra presence.
Fascinating.
Some time passed. My apologies.
If you had to rate on a scale of, let's say, 1 to 10, the level or the thoroughness with which the Sabbat has infiltrated this domain, what would you give it?
It's an insight,
Well,
Tim.
I was a bad boy and did not pull up my character sheet. Oopsie.
I think Jonathan's gonna just pull out his Zippo and light a cigarette.
And what was the roll again? My apologies.
Wits and insight. That's 3 dice for you, sir.
Okay. 2.
You're stabbing in the dark as far as whatever guess you give him. You've seen some activity. It's not like anybody in the coterie has rooted a nest of Sabbat or anything. but you know that Annabelle was sent because she's partly a Sabbat hunter. You've witnessed some pretty definitive things, but as far as an infiltration or a taking over, you're stabbing in the dark.
Well, player to ST. Walter was specifically talking about changes in management
Yes, he
and
was.
things like that. So that's I would share that. Yeah. So Major, my
Quantify it
primogen.
however you quantify it. Go.
There's a number of factors, Major. There is my primogen, former primogen. I hope soon. Anyway, mention specific changes in management. The prince's condition being what it is appeared to enable that. So with what I've already seen, plus Annabelle and yourself both being sent here in part to deal with some of this, I would say at least a 5. If the missing are related to the Sabbat activities in the area, I would say that number would increase.
A 5. You are so generous, Mr. Toon.
I can only speak on what I have seen myself.
I haven't seen very much, and in the short period I have been here, I have many doubts that a 5 is a reasonable number for this domain.
What would you give it, Miss Annabelle?
This domain is doomed. It's definitely probably an 8 if you want to be nice, 9 if we want to be real. Considering what I saw underground and the fact that I've had a number of run-in with known Sabbat in just as many nights, that is not a common occurrence in a domain that is Camarilla. I do believe the tower's interests, though, are being held to a certain degree for...
But they're on the brink of falling if you're...
Yes, of
assertion.
course, Major Delaney, but the prince is secure for the time being due to the actions of someone.
Who is someone?
There's a brief knock before the door opens as Martin walks in, snaps to, gives a smart salute, and retreats to a corner behind you.
Certain someone, Miss Annabelle?
The Archon Damien, of course. He was at the battlefield watching over the prince. I believe he's here to make sure this domain stays at least Camarilla on the surface and that this prince maintains control for the time being. But I do not know his inner mental workings or his mission specifically, though he did ask me to come to this domain. So,
And he is also taking an interest in me, Major.
Well, that's because you are so very interesting, Mr. White.
And speaking about that battlefield meeting with the prince, he seemed to talk to someone as he was leaving, but I heard no reply.
You mean he was pretty unhinged from the whole time you were there?
Yes,
Let's
even
not.
more so than usual. Even more so than the last time. Right, Mr. Toon?
Very much. It would seem he is being called by someone.
Also, if you would like to speak to somebody important in the chantry, you would probably deal with Crowley, being that the primogen is one of the ones that are missing.
The only primogen we have received back, or that has been found since going missing, is Fiona. And in my discussions with her, she doesn't remember very much of the abduction, just that she was staked from behind.
And we'd found Mr. Van Doren, but he, regrettably, under Mr. Costa's watch, went missing.
Oh, Mr. Costa. Innumerable art thou sins.
We
To be
had,
fair, he had everyone's best interests in mind, I hope.
he made me
Stone.
believe him a god, Miss Stone.
And to that I say, hope. That's cute. Miss Stone, please arrange a meeting with your primogen and myself this evening.
I can ask her, but
as in to say, at her earliest convenience, this evening, give her a message saying, at your earliest convenience, Major Delaney would like to meet with you.
I shall require a new communication device.
It's called a pen and paper, and it will be delivered by one of my men.
Oh, good. All right. I guess I'll pull. I should have stationery on me, so I'm going to pull out some of my own stationery and start writing a note.
Okay.
Mr. Toon, there was something that bothered me in my memory.
I imagine there's a great many things in your memories that bother you, Mr. White.
I should hope so.
Especially your
Actually,
recent memory.
Yes. We don't want to remember that.
You were saying.
But no, what occurred down there was not fun, Mr. Toon.
The cave?
Regardless. No. Down in my holding area. But I digress. Do you happen to remember that letter that we gave to Mr. Crowley?
The one that Miss Stone had to translate, if I remember correctly.
Yes, from French.
No,
One
it was
that?
it was Italian, ancient Italian of some
yes.
sort. Yes,
So Latin.
not quite, but yes.
It was old.
Yes and no.
Go on.
Do you happen to remember the name on that letter?
It did make mention of a certain Sasha Vikos.
And a Celestria.
Mm-hmm.
Like the name of the woman guarding the caves.
Yep.
Or in the caves, I'd say.
That dotted line between the Sabbat and the missing is starting to be filled in.
Yes. Because the letter was directly from Vikos to Crowley, I believe.
Oh, so this Crowley is in league with Vikos.
Oh,
as
no.
well.
I don't believe so. The tone of the letter was rather argumentative.
Combative.
Yes, indeed.
Well,
It was, if I remember correctly, it's been many nights, but it seemed to be a conversation between the two wherein Vikos was encouraging the treatment of the kine as cattle, and Crowley was disagreeing with such a statement. So it almost seemed as if he was supporting the Pillars of the Camarilla and arguing it to Vikos. It is hard to say. But in our conversations with Mr. Crowley, he seemed to be very, very dismissive and very firm in his distaste for the thing that is Vikos.
And the prince.
One could hardly fault him, but
He did ask us to wiretap the prince.
who did? Vikos
Crowley.
or Crowley? Okay.
Crowley. He asked us to place a stone on his person.
Oh, yes, Mr. Costa's scepter.
Did he
Mr.
ever end
Costa
up
was having a
delivering that?
scepter made. No, I don't believe so.
I wonder if he left it with his things here.
Pick up the handset. Looking for Alfred.
Yes, Major.
Yes, I believe Miss Stone has just made me aware of certain possessions of Mr. Costa's that maybe have remained here.
I believe she might be mistaken, Major Delaney. Mr. Costa, when he was denied entry, took his belongings to, I believe, his home and office at the two silos.
Fantastic. Thank you, Alfred.
Absolutely.
Mr. Spears,
Yes, sir.
send a team. Do not go yourself. Send a team to retrieve Mr. Costa's belongings from the two silos. If there is nothing to be found there, then report that back. Also, set up a team to overwatch the chief of police. I want to know everything there is to know about him. Every vice, every sin, every foible.
At this, I think I'm going to smile and say, oh, well, the chief of police and I, our certain association,
Yes,
is, I
but
guess, in
having-
part to these vices. And I do have some evidence of such with
Is it
his
evidence?
certain proclivities.
Is it evidence where you are pictured at all, Miss Stone?
Oh, no.
Brilliant. Useful.
It would be footage from my VIP rooms
Brilliant.
where many parties have been held.
Well done.
Once, Major. By your leave.
Please, if you all will discuss amongst yourself briefly, I must adjourn momentarily. I will be back.
Yes, Major.
Well, this seems like as good a time as any for us to take our first break for the evening. Viewers,
Yeah.
thank you for joining us. Thank you for the recent follows. We really super appreciate that and hope you keep following along. We will be back in just a few minutes. Give us 7 to 10 minutes, and we will return and continue Prince William by Night. We love you all. Please stick around for the second half. We will return shortly. Welcome back, viewers. Thanks for hanging out and sticking around for the second half of our evening. We rejoin the coterie as the major steps out to take care of a couple of issues, issue some orders to some of his men, slake a bit of hunger without anyone else being witness. The major will probably be out of the room for a couple of minutes, leaving the 5 of you to talk amongst yourselves. Unless there is no
I guess-
conversation.
Well, I'm going to address everyone. I guess, well, Freddy's dead. For those of you who don't know.
You'll just
My
see Ezekiel as
condolences.
usual. You'll see him do his usual slapping stiff, but give a sad smile to Virginia. I'm sorry about your companion, Miss Stone. He was a good man.
Too good.
And the other? Lorenzo, how is he doing?
Oh, yes, you were downstairs during the conversation. Lorenzo is also dead.
Again, my condolences. They were good men.
And Virginia, I'll give you an intelligence and insight roll.
Okay. Not very insightful, so let's see here. 3 dice, 2 successes.
With 2 successes with the previous conversation, you can actually recall what was translated for you from that letter.
Okay. Perfect.
Now, whether you bring that up to anyone is entirely on you.
I'm just going to reread it here. So remember what
I'll say, please continue your
what it
RP.
said.
I am sorry, Mr. Toon, to throw your guesstimate under the bus, as the children say. It
doesn't bother me at all.
Good. I do hope we have an amicable relationship as coterie mates, but this domain is definitely not doing well.
You dusted Theron. You're all right in my book.
Yes, he was my welcome back to town gift. But
Was it suitable?
No,
I think-
Mr. White, he tasted of treachery and but that is no matter anymore because he is gone. And that is all that matters. For one less Sabat, the tower grows stronger.
Annabelle,
That it does.
a different voice comes into the back of your head as you recall the events. We're not entirely gone, are we? Oh, you thought I wasn't coming along for the ride? I can hear the surprise in your head.
And Annabelle's going to think this to herself. She's not saying this aloud. Ah, Theron, you get to see me kill more of your compatriots. You get a front row seat to the show.
I wouldn't have it any other way. As
You're not
Annabelle's
so bad
face
after
goes
all.
through a roll of interesting, gleeful emotions.
During all of this, I'm going to actually start writing down from what I remember.
Okay.
Like all of the information that I remember from that letter from Crowley that we
Sure.
gave to him. And I think upon completing it, I'm going to slide it over to Jonathan because the major still hasn't returned to the room.
Who has Auspex in the room? Would that be no one? Okay.
Yo,
Sure, why
I do.
was it?
Oh, you do?
yeah, I've unseen sensation, or sentient, not sentient. The other one.
Heightened senses.
Thank you.
I will give you a wits and insight roll, Zeke.
Okay. Wits and messy crit.
How many successes, sir?
2, and I missed a crit.
Is that 3?
3.
Okay, which is it?
I'm sorry, it's 4 because I got 2 on the black and then missed a crit.
You got That's okay.
It's-
So,
So
I'm-
he's got 2 10s and then another success.
So
Yes.
it's 5.
Okay, so that's 5
Okay.
successes.
5. Sorry, trying to do the math in my head.
Okay. As Annabelle was speaking and suddenly stopped, it got your attention at least. And one thing you definitely notice are the darkened lines, the hint of the taint of corruption on her flesh darkens as she rolls this weird, quirky smile across her face. Her eyes become a little more shadowed, a little darker. And continue.
He'll give her a side look of, we need to talk after this. We need to have words, Miss Annabelle. Later. Alone.
yes, we do, Mr. White. I need to catch up on what my underling has been up to. But that is a
Yeah.
conversation for another time.
I have slid the piece of paper with what I remember from the letter across the table to Jonathan.
Okay. And
I should probably send it to you.
as you do, the door opens as the major returns to the boardroom.
Major, I have written down, to the best of my recollection, what I read of Crowley and Vikos. I've given it to Jonathan there to peruse.
Curious, does it match up with what I know? Or is it different?
Seems to. I mean, it's not
That's fine.
an exact translation, but it seems close enough and correct enough.
Did you translate this yourself? I'd be pretty impressed.
Yes. I travel enough and know enough of the Latin languages, I guess.
Yes, this is supposedly a conversation between Vikos and Crowley, but as I recall, there's some things that aren't exactly reassuring in this letter.
May I, Mr. Keats?
Yeah, and it do.
I will peruse the letter.
For our viewing audience, I will happily read or tell you what it says. It's a letter, or at least a snippet from a letter of unknown origin and unknown recipient that says, a conversation between the vile Sasha Vikos and the Lord Diarquis Crowley from my memories now 300 years old. Diarquis says, in surviving shall our humanity endure, that which makes life sweet for the living, warm and filled with beauty. This, too, must be. But we shall not gain this enduring humanity if we deny our whole being, if we deny emotions, thought, and flesh. If we deny emotions, we lose our touch with our universe. By denying thought, we cannot reflect upon that which we touch. And if we dare deny the flesh, we unwheel the vehicle that carries us all. Vikos responds, humanity has outlived its usefulness and is no longer relevant to survival, nor relevant to even the continued existence of humans. To deny the beast is to deny that which sets us apart, sets us above, and indeed places us in lordship over those cattle you hold so dear. It weakens you, Crowley. It removes that scale patch above the left breast, exposing your heart for the splinter that is sure to find its purchase. The Arqueus responds, Vikos, you are corrupted. Nothing of you will remain that your precious Sabbat will miss. I have plans within plans for you and your doppelganger. Take and entomb the Vikos with the others. Bind and gag him, lest his breath utter commands you cannot recant. Stake the Vikos in ritual. I will hear its voice no more. Vikos, you cannot! I command! And the quote ends.
So this exchange is some 300 years old, yes?
Correct.
Doppelganger.
And yet Vikos has been seen in this domain.
I believe you are leaving out one very important clue. Doppelganger.
I caught that.
Mhm.
It didn't escape us at the time, and we thought it odd.
Very odd. You're muted, Mickey.
It bears investigating.
Indeed.
Add it to the pile.
Yeah.
I
Again, the
do
most
wrestle
pressing.
what? My
Excuse me,
apologies.
Mr. White. Please go on, Mr. White.
My apologies, Major. Mr. Toon, when we found that, it was, what, 3, 4 a week before that Vikos had hosted a meeting at Elysium here,
Yeah.
and one of my clanmates was devoured.
I was not present, but I recall you and Mr. Costa relaying that information to me.
Excuse me. Did you just say that Sasha fucking Vikos, Archbishop of the Sabbat, hosted an Elysium in this domain?
And the plot thickens.
I changed my number to 10 out of 10, Major.
I doubled her
must-
number.
Is
I
this
was
accurate?
not aware
Yes,
of this.
Major.
I would like
Virginia-
wits and insight on that.
Virginia and Tim also wits and insight, please.
Yes. I really got to invest in insight, man.
And Zeke, because you were
Yes.
there too.
Oh, yeah.
I got 5.
Ooh. 5 messy crit.
Same. That's exactly what my roll is like.
That's hilarious.
5 as well.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is kind of what I do, folks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 successes.
Damn.
This is what I searched for this as well, so I had a very robust pool.
And what did you roll, Zeke?
I only got 5. It was a messy crit, though.
Major, it definitely occurs to you that there's no way in hell a prince would allow that to happen. There's
but
no
a prince
way
who is losing their
in
grip
hell.
on reality.
What occurs to Tim, Zeke, and Virginia is that the prince was holding Elysium at the St. Clair estate with Vikos present. That these three, Tim, Zeke, and Virginia, can recall from their invitation that was delivered by the Harpy.
I wasn't there for that. That was prior to. my
that
return.
was prior to you. That's right.
I
so
had heard
Zeke
about
It
it.
was prior to me
Tim.
as well.
Really?
I didn't get one.
Oh, okay.
No.
So this
It
is
It was
Zeke.
after that
I
Elysium
apologize.
that Jack disappeared.
This is how long we've been playing, y'all. I'm forgetting.
Yeah. So it was after that Elysium that Jax disappeared, thus my presence in the domain.
So Zeke,
I would.
it
Yeah.
occurs to you the recollection of receiving an invite delivered by Maurice Tellon, made of living flesh, in the handwriting and seal of Sasha Vikos, not so much as a summons as an invitation to join him at Elysium on the prince's behalf.
You'll see Zeke start shaking slightly. Oh, that was it. The handwritten, the letter written by Vikos, signed by Vikos, with a stamp made of living flesh, inviting everyone to Elysium at the prince's command.
I'm really hopeful this doesn't go poorly because I've.
Yeah, please. I would love
Freeform.
for you to have a rage check.
Mhm,
Well,
mhm.
Mr. Ventru?
Vibe check.
I've got a critical, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Whew.
The major...
I don't even bat an eyelash because I got the critical.
You may not bat an eyelash, but others around you feel the air kind of thicken. There's a look on his face that's nearly dangerous. He looks... That is the right word for it. He looks in this moment dangerous as Zeke talks about this letter.
Sergeant Spears.
Yes, Major. We've dispatched a team to go to the 2 silos and discover Mr. Costa's belongings. Are you okay, sir?
Sergeant Spears.
Yes, Major.
Make sure everyone's equipped appropriately. Full tactical loadout. Make sure the QRF is set to on Redcon 1.5.
Sir? Are we expecting someone?
They should be expecting us, Sergeant Spears. And I'm going to adjourn once again to go to my quarters and start the preparations.
Before the major goes, I'm going to ask if I can go and make sure my new friend is cared for, possibly bring him some food.
He does not even look back.
Major, before you leave, you should know that Elysium happened here.
Sergeant Spears,
Major.
the orders I just gave you prior, a little bit ago,
Yes, sir.
divert to Site 2, crash it.
Yes, sir.
Make sure our mobile command center is set up.
He snaps a quick salute and exits the boardroom.
I suggest you all get whatever it is you need from here and load up in the vehicles.
On my way.
Ooh, can I
That-
bring my toy?
Is dependent on you.
Mr. Keats, I made you a promise. I keep my promises. Make sure she is fit to travel, and let's go.
The boardroom door opens again, and Alfred enters the boardroom, a little apprehensively carrying a box. Looks somewhat like a lockbox and is similarly colored like your key card. Major Delaney, pardon my interruption.
Go on.
Martin told me that you were looking for things belonging to Mr. Costa. This was placed in my keeping by him before he was denied re-entry to the estate, sir. I do not have the means to open it. And he places the box in front of you on the boardroom table. If you'll excuse me, sir.
If all of you
Go
would
ahead,
leave the
Tim.
boardroom, please.
I'm
On
going
my way.
going to the
Come, Mr. White.
I'm gonna follow Keats because I basically don't have anything of value in the place here.
Sure.
Yes, Miss Annabelle, clear out our rooms.
We have nothing here, Mr. White. Let
I
us.
might have stashed that letter here.
Ooh.
Fine, Mr. White. Go find your letter and come back to me. I will be outside.
Right away.
I'm going to activate toughness, and I get hungrier. And I'm going to
Everybody
inspect the
exits
box.
the boardroom. Is that right?
I'm going to
Okay.
inspect the box. Okay, I'm going to roll probably wits and awareness.
What are you, I mean, are you just looking it
I'm
over?
looking- Yes, I'm looking it over, trying to ascertain its function, how to unlatch it, et cetera, et cetera.
It's pretty nondescript. It's a black box, seems to have a seam about an inch down from the top. It has a red stripe along it, and it has the St. Clair logo on the box.
Pull out the key card, wave it over the box.
You hear a slight muted click.
Open the box if I can.
As you open it, what's an awareness, sir?
Oh, wait, sorry. I got hungrier. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4.
As you open the box, there's an itching in the back of your mind. Your beast whispers caution. Burn it. Kill it. As you open it, it has a slight presence. It has a feel. And in it, you see a letter addressed to Victor Costa. As you look over it, it says, "Summons to Elysium, issued by hand of the Harpy in the name of Prince Giorgio."
Is that all there is?
That's what's laying inside the box. That is the only thing in the box.
I'm going to reach into my pocket, take out my little spike,
Okay.
kind of lift up the edge, try and inspect to see if there's any sort of nefariousness going on. Mundane nefariousness.
As you lift the top fold of the letter, you see more writing underneath. Now, being your good wits and awareness roll, you notice that the material doesn't seem to be paper.
Oh, I recognize leather vellum when I see it.
It's more than vellum. You notice that it does indeed seem to be flesh. There is a blush of color every now and then that streaks through it like capillaries.
I will read the invitation.
You take it out?
No, I'm going to, again, using my little thing, I'm just going to friggin'
To Mr. Victor Costa. From Sasha Vikos, his Lord Most High of the Order of Dracul, the Regent Proxy, Justicar of the Domain of Washington, D.C., the Archon of the Realm, in service of Prince Giorgio of the Domain of Prince William County. You have been summoned henceforth without delay or hindrance to attend a gathering at the whim and direction of Prince Giorgio. The laws of Elysium shall be respected and enforced at a location to be announced. Prince Giorgio would consider it a great personal insult should you choose not to accept his invitation. You are granted an extended invitation to the members of your coterie or those in service to you, provided you announce their accompaniment prior to your arrival. With respectful regard and anticipation of meeting with you personally, Archon Sasha Vikos, Lord Most High of the Order of Dracul, the Regent Proxy Justicar of the Domain of Washington, D.C. And it actually has his seal. Not that you guys can see that from the camera because it won't focus.
Giorgio's seal?
No. It has the seal of 2 rampant dragons counterfaced.
I would very much. So, what I'm hearing is Sasha Vikos is claiming the title of both Archon and Justicar.
That's what was read from the letter.
Neat. I am going to take my little spike, close the lid on the case.
When you close the box, you can hear a slight click.
This domain is well and truly lost.
Now, the seal and wax stamp on the top of the letter was that of the harpy.
The one who took part in the vinculum, if I'm not mistaken.
That's the assumption.
Not the one Tim was present for.
Oh, no, that was the Primogen. I'm going to send a brief message to JL saying new intelligence must meet ASAP or at earliest convenience. Possible winter contingency scenario.
And make sure you DM that to me just so I have a copy of that.
I will do so now, sir.
Thank you. And how do you send that message?
Over secure message.
Okay. And what are the rest of you doing?
I'm doing as
Tim
I
is
was
with
told.
Jonathan.
Can't hear you, Jonathan.
Oops, my mute decided to work. I am going to the holding cell.
I'm following.
Okay.
I'm gathering everything that was left behind, which is IDs and all my letters from Vicos and all that.
You
Okay, yeah. Sorry, Annabelle is using Cloak of Unseen Passage because she acted like she was going outside, but she's following Mr. White, so to keep an eye on him. So
okay? I'm trying to think.
Did I?
I don't think you stashed anything
No,
at the
you're
estate
right.
because
No,
you
no,
weren't
no,
there
you're
that
right.
long because you spent most of your time at the compound.
Right. You'll get about halfway to the room. Go, oh, wrong place. Turn about and go straight outside. Do an about face. Just head out.
See, Annabelle, he walks towards his prepared room and does exactly that. Has an aha moment, does a 180, and heads back towards the front of the building.
that's fine. She'll continue. I will continue to follow him. So
Okay. Jonathan and Tim heading down to the bowels of the estate, to the holding area, the cells. Jonathan, this is not the best walk for you. Lots of raw, recent occurrences, none of which were pleasant. What are you hoping to find when you get there?
Find Ada.
Tim, as he gets into the cell area, you see him looking from cell to cell, anxiously. Getting to the last, you don't find Ada, but you do find a familiar face. Virginia's new pet is pacing inside one of the empty cells.
This isn't our luggage, but
I don't want to sound harsh, but I don't care what happens to this person.
yeah, I kind of don't either. So is she not down here? What's the deal?
Pretty sure that last week he was taken to her room that she had been put in. On the
Last week, he returned to the cell where she was held. The cell was cleaned up, and you had promised him that her environs would be much upgraded.
Yeah, and then on the next night, he went and talked with her briefly before we all loaded up and rolled out.
Correct.
So he would know her room.
So she's in the room, not in the cells.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would have gone to the room. I'm sorry.
Well, let's just roll
Still
with
following.
you went down to the cells where you thought she might be, exiting, going back up into the estate proper and up to the residential floor. It's pretty much vacant aside from a pair of guards at one particular door. Logic would probably dictate that's where she probably is.
Okay, I will approach the doors.
As you get closer, you definitely get the attention of the two suited armed gentlemen standing outside the door. Mr. Keats, Mr. Toon.
Yeah.
Gentlemen?
Why don't you page the major? He'll fill you in. I'm going in the room.
I can't allow you in the room without the major say so.
I think you heard exactly what I said. Page the major.
Mr. Keats,
I am
moment,
entering
please.
the rooms.
Mr. Keats, a moment, please. He reaches up to his ear, whispers momentarily.
I will respond with secure the guest for transport.
You hear the one guard. Yes, Major. Mr. Keats, Mr. Toon, if you will please wait in the hallway.
Very well. By the way, there's another guest downstairs. You guys might want to bundle up for this little trip.
We were given no orders.
Well, you might want to ask. That's why I'm letting you know.
They don't think unless they're being told to.
And that's being for a reason. So
let's started crashing the estate.
What's that?
Beers hasn't started crashing the estate.
Nobody's crashing the estate.
No, I mean, not crashing the estate. Like getting everything we need bundled up and ready to go to the secondary.
Oh yeah, but that takes
commands.
time. That takes time. It's not like something that happens in a moment's blink. There's plenty of activity below the resident on the main floor and other places in the estate. There's lots of activity. Mr. Keats, if you please, just wait here. And he kind of waits for you to acknowledge him.
Very well.
Thank you. He pulls out a proximity card, waves it near the door, and lets himself in, closing it behind him, leaving the other guard outside. A few moments goes by before the door opens again. Ada's there. Her hands are behind her back. And she's being led. Gently. No one's roughing her up. She looks up, a bit surprised to see you and Mr. Toon standing there. Jonathan, what's going on?
We're getting out of this place. Just one question. You said this building was wrong and it felt wrong. Why did it feel wrong?
She hurriedly looks over her shoulder at the guards and at Tim and kind of gives you a look that says, not now.
If you hurt her, I will murder all of you.
Mr. Keats, we have no orders to harm her in any way.
I'm just letting you know that this is standing. You know, if you decide
Jonathan,
your orders change.
Jonathan, just if we're leaving, let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
And they urge her down the hallway towards the stairs leading back down. When she passes you, you can see that there are indeed restraints on her. They're more forearm restraints with an iron bar between them, not so much cuffs as almost iron gauntlets separated by a solid bar. They lead you back down, or they lead her back down. If you and Tim follow, that's fine.
Yeah, I'll follow her.
Yeah, I'm just chaperoning this little adventure.
Annabelle, as you and Zeke make your way up to the, or as you follow Zeke up to the residential area, about the time that he's getting ready to make his U-turn is when you see Tim and Jonathan coming back up. As you two leave, they kind of go back down the hallways a little bit more, and you can hear some conversation behind you as you follow Zeke back down to the main floor. Virginia, you're already at the front door or hanging out, or...
I just went up to my room to quickly grab a couple of small personal effects. I care not about the clothing. I have lots of clothing.
Okay.
No concern there. I am going to go down and retrieve my luggage, my particular baggage from the cells, I guess.
So as you exit your room after packaging up a few things, you notice Tim and Jonathan following someone who looks familiar, but you're not sure as she's got her back to you. Well restrained with her arms behind her and two guards leading her back down.
Okay. I'm going to call out to Tim. Hey, Tim.
Yes, Miss Stone.
Could I get a hand retrieving my gentleman?
Oh, yeah.
Ada, hearing the friendly voice, does look over her shoulder briefly, notices you, and continues to be urged down the stairs.
I will follow her.
That must be Mr. Keats' amour, I guess.
Indeed.
Oh, love. What a cursed thing.
We want to go scoop up your new friend?
Yes, I do think that would be prudent. I would like to take him with us. Okay.
I'm heading back to the cells.
Major Delaney, as you gather up with the troops, you see Zeke coming out the door. You see Ada and two armed personnel escorting her out, closely followed by Mr. Keats. You see Virginia and Tim also coming down the main staircase, heading towards the front. But instead of them heading out, they turn back into the estate and down the hallways.
Where are you two going?
No sign of Annabelle.
Oh, we're just going to go retrieve my friend from the basement, or wherever it is you're keeping him.
I have people for that. They will meet us at our next location.
Perfect.
Fair enough.
I'm going to head back to the lobby.
I will as well.
Okay. Everybody kind of converges out the front of the estate. Your team are loading up, getting into vehicles. There's a van that's pulled around from the back of the building.
Was my vehicle ever brought back from the chantry?
I don't think it has.
Oh, good. I have to retrieve that at some point. Well, I've got many more, but
Zeke, Annabelle's nowhere to be seen, and everybody's being ushered into vehicles.
I'd like to
Tim,
look around for Annabelle.
she's nowhere to be seen.
I have sensed the unseen.
By all means, please make your roll.
Could I use the bond to feel where she is?
You don't feel separated from her.
So it feels like she's close, perhaps.
As far as you can tell, sure.
Annabelle needs to make a wits plus obfuscate roll.
Yes.
Oh, second. So
Yeah, it is contested.
yeah.
Well,
I
she's
mean,
not
I was just
trying to
going
be
to.
noticed.
I was just going to materialize, but I guess you guys are gonna.
You
let
can.
You guys have
You
your fun.
don't have to resist.
Just
you can
because
just
I
simply
see
drop
you
your
doesn't break the
obfuscate.
obfuscate.
Yeah.
Just because I see you doesn't drop your obfuscate.
Yeah, I only got 2 successes because I rolled poorly.
So you can see the major looking hard around. His sight passes you once or twice before he definitely lands on what he thinks might be you. He's definitely looking directly at you. Oh, wait. Annabelle, you had 2?
Yeah, I only
Okay.
had 2 successes.
I'm the one who's acting, so Ty should go to me.
So, as I said, the major looks around and lands looking in your exact direction.
And I just give a nod and hold the door open for her.
Annabelle's gonna climb into whichever vehicle Mr. White gets into. So, and
Again-
once she sits down, she will drop unseen passage.
Okay.
Ah,
In the one vehicle are the coterie members, 2, the driver, 1 additional security person, and Ada. The others are packed into other vehicles. You're muted, sir.
I was just thinking to myself, go on, please. I apologize.
Where is Site 2?
In a warehouse somewhere in Manassas.
Easy enough. There are some of those. Most of those are down by the rail yard. Actually, no, you guys would not be going to the rail yard. I know exactly where you guys would be going. So, as the vehicles drive away in a slight convoy away from the estate, I believe 3 of you, no, I think 4 of you have been to the location where the vehicles end up before. A familiar place. And it's the construction yard of PAL Contracting. The small office building with its protected fenced yard behind it.
if I
As
look
they-
around, do I notice if that security cameras refixed?
Not that you see.
Okay.
The vehicles go past the security gate as it's opened and closed behind the train of vehicles. a warehouse is indeed towards the back of the property that is now open as the vehicles drive in. The gate or the main the main warehouse door is rolled shut as large xenon lights begin to flood the warehouse with light. It's fairly sparse. There's a couple of small offices off in one corner. Other than that, it's a lot of pallet racking, lots of iron bars on racks, pipes, piping, conduit. It's pretty much what you would expect at a general contractor's storage yard. Security teams get out of two of the Suburbans, quickly sweep the warehouse, give a quick nod back to the vehicle that you were all in as they kind of disperse going outside and begin sweeping the property as well.
Major will excuse himself and disappear somewhere.
There's a couple of the offices, they're empty.
Yeah, a very loud crash, bang, boom is heard from one of these offices.
The rest of the security team get out of the Suburban and also taking Ada out with them, head directly towards one of the offices with her.
Immediately follow.
Okay.
I'll go with.
Tim and Jonathan following,
I'm staying behind.
leaving Zeke, Annabelle, and Virginia. Now
I'm
kind of
scanning the warehouse.
alone in this rather unfriendly environment.
This is rather quaint.
Yes. Was it you and I the last that went here? Or was it you mean Soraka?
Yes, but you all went
Definitely not
into
me.
the office building, not in the backyard, in the warehouse, or in the storage area. You guys were storming the
Castle.
the office building, as it were.
I tend to not frequent buildings such as this. Not quite to my tastes.
Well, this is giving me horrible sense of deja vu, Miss Stone.
Please do not bring up any events. I would hate to spoil the mood any further this evening.
Box cutter, man. And say nothing more.
Major, as you finish your little rant through the window of the office, you can see two of the guards approaching with Ada and Jonathan and Tim in tow.
I snatch one of those guards and proceed to beat them senseless.
Okay. It's surprising, but this happens. The guard that you don't grab kind of sidesteps and pulls Ada out of the way as the major lays into this guy.
For any of you that are looking, the major is 100% in a fury frenzy.
I won't. I'm going to take Ada away from this. and go into the office building.
We can't hear you, Tim.
Against my better judgment, I'm going to try and restrain the major.
Okay. Several things happen at once. We're going to start with Jonathan. What is it exactly you do?
Ooh.
I'm trying. I'm assuming he takes one of the guards out, and like you said, there was a pair of them like going with
Yeah, the
her,
major's
so
going house on one of them for no
I'm assuming
unknown reason.
the other one is like just probably caught
Basically,
off guard. So
he sidestepped with Ada, pushing her a little bit further into the office in the warehouse, and has a hold of her restraint behind her as he's kind of keeping an eye on what the major's doing, and he looks a bit scared.
I'm gonna say go tend to your friend and your boss. I am going to be in this building with her, and it's going to be secure, or you're going to end up like him.
He tears away from looking at the major as Tim then moves to approach him and can't decide to either pay attention to you or attend to Tim approaching the major. Tim, what do you do?
I'm just trying to get behind him and like hold his arms kind of back and tell him, this is not productive.
Okay,
Calm
so
down.
are you grappling him?
Yes. So I did not get hungry, by the way.
Strength and brawl, please, sir.
That's a good rule for me.
Now, Zeke, Virginia, and Annabelle can see this through the large viewing window. The major enters
7.
Oof. The major enters the office. Sounds like he's throwing furniture around. 2 guards go into the office with him, followed by Jonathan and Tim, as the major turns his anger on one of his security personnel and begins to beat him senselessly. You see Tim walk up behind him. Major, in your rage, you don't notice Tim. Your focus is it's right there in front of you.
Yeah.
The tunnel vision of rage and anger, frustration. Your beast grinning. Take it. You're in charge. We're in charge. End this fool. And a grip on both of your arms happens, pulling your arms behind you. And Tim's voice rings out saying,
This is not productive. This is not your leadership style.
That does not break through the haze of the fury.
no. And now you're being grappled from behind.
How many successes did you have? Yeah, that don't even need it.
He had a lot.
I will attempt to feebly break free and continue my assault on my presumably unconscious man. And
yeah, when he got your arms, it kind of slumped at your feet.
Mm-hmm.
Annabelle, that voice of Theron pops up as you see this. And they want to be in control? Are you kidding? Set this place on fire and lock them all in.
Annabelle will kind of chuckle as she slips into the shadows and activates Silence of Death and Unseen Passage if no one's looking at her.
All eyes are kind of on the office and the big window, so that's not difficult.
I figured I'm going to move off. If I saw Jonathan and the Salubri, I'm going to move off in that direction because I'm kind of curious where they're going.
Jonathan.
I was trying to intimidate and I rolled a 3.
In the moment of him dividing his attention between the major, his charge, and your threats, you catch him off guard. He visibly stumbles in his own thinking, and he looks at you again with a visual effect of, what'd you just say? As he sees Tim out of the corner of his eye, grabs the major, he turns, letting Ada go. And he lunges at Tim.
Going to take her and head into the office so he can figure out what the fuck is going on.
There's 2 other attached offices to the one that you're in right now. You're basically just going further in.
Mm-hmm.
Easy enough. Annabelle, yeah, Virginia, Zeke. That's what you see. Tim grapples the major, and the major's other guy lunges at Tim.
Do I see this guy lunge at me?
Yeah.
Okay, because I definitely have words for him. So
I definitely think they have this covered, don't you, ladies? I can't hear you, Virginia.
I didn't say anything. I sighed.
Annabelle seems to have disappeared again.
He shrugs. Well, this is going to either be very interesting or very disastrous. I can't wait.
You know, Mr. White, I find your commentary to be a little improper, seeing as you've been in various situations yourself. Of course, the major's anger is understandable, and I do think Mr. Toon has this in hand, but I do believe we should still be respectful of the situation.
Shall we join upstairs then?
There's no upstairs. Thanks for sticking around, everybody. We got our little technical sorted out, and Virginia's back with us. So welcome back.
Thank you.
So moving right along. Tim.
As that guy is lunging my way, I'm going to shout at him, "Get your friend. I've got this. I can take the beating. You can't."
Major, what are you doing as your second man seems to be lunging at you?
I'm still laser focused on the guy that I was beating on.
So
the guy crumpled on the ground.
Well, I'm trying. I am currently trying to, but I'm fairly certain I'm held aloft and bear hugged and well and truly grappled.
Indeed. Mr. Toon has quite the grip.
Mm-hmm.
And has used it on multiple people at one time. So Tim, as you restraining the major, as he still seems to be kicking at the clump on the ground in front of the 2 of you, the other security professional turns, releasing Ada. You see Jonathan immediately takes her up and escorting her through a door into another office behind where you guys are. How do you say? Do you just say this all nice and calm to the security guy? Or are you barking or yelling at him? Or
yeah, I'm barking.
It's not like you can point.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely barking, and this is kind of an intimidation attempt.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I probably have to roll for that.
Yes.
So it's intimidation and
That would be your either manipulation and charisma, whichever is better for you, which I think is charisma,
it is.
and your intimidation.
And do I get the extra dot?
This isn't a stick up.
Okay. Just it's always worth asking.
You're not strong arm robbing the poor guy.
Oh, 4 successes.
Yeah, so he catches himself just about boot length away from the major. Stops in his tracks, looks you square in the face, at least for a moment more of confirmation, like you're not going to hurt the boss. Like he's got that worried kind of I'm going to kill you look, but I don't know why. And he looks down at his partner, and quickly you can see a little bit of realization click over his face. He gives you the briefest of nods before bending down, taking him by the arms and dragging him out of the office. A slight smear of red now
Yeah, to
crimsons
clarify,
the carpet.
I don't have that much strength, so he probably didn't take that much damage. So.
You're a vampire and he's a human.
Yeah.
It doesn't require much enrage to do a brutal amount of damage to a mortal.
Look, I'm trying here, okay?
It is what it is. So, Jonathan and Ada disappear behind a door. Tim barks, yelling at the second security officer as he now drags the leaking person out by his arms. There's a trail of smeared blood underneath him, as whatever the major did to the guy, it's done its damage. The smell of blood and copper fill the air quite rapidly for the vampires present. Is anybody at hunger 3 or more? Okay.
Nope.
There is that salivation. The scent of fresh human blood is always a draw to the undead. But immediately eyes are drawn back to the kicking and now wrestling major as he's held in the air by Tim.
What's Keats' girlfriend's hunger at?
Can't hear you,
Okay,
Mickey.
I'm gonna be blunt. What does that have to do with you, Zeke?
No, I didn't know if you saw the message. I was just asking for him.
What message is that?
I'm sorry, that was just jokingly sent to the chat.
Oh, again, when I'm in the
He's
scene,
busy working, y'all. He's not reading our
Yeah, no,
shit
yeah.
posting.
Damn it, Keats. All right, sorry. My bad. Continue.
So, Virginia, Annabelle, Zeke, what do you do as this person's being drugged out? You see the major, who was previously well in control of himself, not so much. The good Ventru has definitely unleashed the darker side of himself on this poor mortal.
What,
Don't know if there's much I can do.
Yeah, don't think we want to get too close to that, do we, Virginia?
Annabelle's going to continue following after Jonathan and this an individual that he is shepherding away.
Okay. The security person touches to his ear real quick, and he seems to be scrambling, saying things like, I need medical. We got a man down. not really saying how or why, but he's definitely calling in for somebody else to come help him, as you can see the color draining from the face of the person on the floor rapidly. Jonathan, you close the door, pulling Ada with you. She's kind of there, but not. She seems to be a little bit in shock, watching the major pummel this poor guy. She looks a little angry. Her muscles tense. She seems to be working or trying to work against this medieval restraint that she's in.
I'll put my hands on her face and I'll be like, look, you're with me.
The hell is going on? Who is this guy? And the door opens. Annabelle, your obfuscate is definitely broken. As you open the door and follow Jonathan into the room with Ada. Ada looks up as you talk to her and sees Annabelle. And all three of her eyes go onyx black. And she seems to go a bit limp. She doesn't lose her stance, but she definitely feels softened.
I will like turn. I'll be like, can we have a fucking moment, please? And try to just like kick the door like in her face.
So yeah, Annabelle, you enter the room. Mm-hmm. You can hear the noise behind you of Tim and the major. You open the door, hearing the last few words as Jonathan tries to quiet and reassure Ada. When Ada looks at you, her eyes, all three of them, go onyx black. No scleras, no white at all. And she seems to droop a bit in reaction to seeing you.
As Mr. Keats is like trying to kick the door on me, I'm just going to interesting. And I'm going to kind of allow the door to kind of like push me back out of the room.
Okay. Tim,
and then
yep, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, once the door closes, if no one's looking at me, I just want to use Cloak of Shadows and just go invisible in front of the door.
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. As you open and close the door in those brief moments, Tim is definitely going to turn kind of almost bodily with the major to see who's coming in and out of that door. I would imagine. Fine. I would imagine you're kind of hyper vigilant in this room at this moment. You have a frenzying
just a little
vampire in your grip. Major, willpower, please.
Three successes, which is what I need.
Is enough for the moment to catch up to you. As you see the body being dragged out, the smear of blood on the contractor grade carpet, darkening, glistening wet. The door behind you opening and closing. The sudden sight of Annabelle as Tim bodily turns to look. The restraint of extremely powerful hands. And Tim voicing his assurance to you, his trying to calm you down. The rage begins to subside. The echoes in your head begin to give way to cognitive thought. The process of logical thinking, the assessment of the room, and the stain of your humanity, as you can hear your other security guy saying, "It's too late," as he's bent over the body outside of the office.
Very good, Mr. Toon. That's enough.
Apologies, Major. And
No
I'll
need,
set
no
him
need.
down.
You did exactly what you needed to do, and the Major will. There should be. There should be. And I assume you let me go and set me down and whatnot.
Yeah.
There should be quarters prepared for you in the sub-basement. Dover,
Why don't you take a minute?
there is no time, Mr. Toon, regardless of my indelicate action.
Very well.
And I would like to make a leadership role to try and get my men back under control.
By all means, sir, that'd be your composure and leadership. Jonathan, as the door closes, you feel a slight bit of victory, having gotten her out.
I know this is a hollow victory that will probably cost me in the long run.
That thought strengthens as Ada kind of slumps.
I'll see what is ailing her.
You take a breath. Jonathan, what are you doing to see? How are you trying to discover what's going on with Ada?
So I'm going to gently place her down and just like tap her face, and be like, "Hey, are you with me?"
She seems unresponsive.
I will cut my hand and I'll put it in her mouth.
Okay. Major, you take a couple of breaths. Annabelle, Virginia.
No,
Zeke,
I don't. I'm a vampire.
Well, you take a couple of moments to organize your thoughts before starting to bark out orders or to communicate them over the comms, putting men into action. It does strike you that you beat this person to death in a mere moment. A loyal servant. Can't hear you.
Once I have issued orders to have mobile command set up and quarters established and light considerations and all of the considerations that need to be had, assumption of competence being high for the Major, given this, I am going to retreat down to the sub level and find my place where I would be laying my head for the evening. And I am going to take out that spike and I am going to drive it through my hand to satisfy my conviction.
With very little said to anyone else in the coterie, The major barks orders and quickly heads out of the office to some stairs that are now apparent to lead down below the warehouse and disappears unless anybody tries to stop him.
Nah.
No.
He literally steps over
I'm good.
the corpse.
Steps around. I would step around. Yeah,
Steps
I'm
around.
not that kind of asshole.
As his team and retinue of security personnel go about doing whatever it is he told them to do. Annabelle, Virginia, Zeke, Tim, what are you about doing?
There's a question.
I mean, it's
I'm kind of looking between. Good, Tim.
I was gonna say I'm ready to crash. So that's it. If we want to quote end the night,
Before we
I'm
slumber,
sure dawn is approaching.
I'm going to have to get a new vehicle requested, seeing as ours are currently at the chantry. I do have some spare vehicles. Not many, but I do have some spare vehicles if anyone should require replacements. We seem to be going through them.
I have enough money stashed at the bank to buy a new one.
I was not offering to you, Mr. White. It seems Annabelle does an excellent job of guiding and watching. No offense, sir. I just haven't seen you drive.
Oh. I actually have quite the ability.
I kind of like that most of my vehicles are disposable. That's by intent. I just buy a beater.
I'm sure we can locate a beater if it's required.
Considering my new attire requirements, might not be the best plan anymore.
You and I could go down to the local showroom, sir.
As you banter back and forth, and they start dragging the body away.
I mean, I imagine he'd be put on a litter and carried away, but
yeah,
exactly. I mean, ergo dragging the body
for dramatic
away.
Effect.
I need you to roll composure and insight, please.
Oh, fuck. All right. Composure, insight, you said?
Yes, please.
That was aggressive.
One moment.
2.
No, just Zeke.
Oh.
Fuck you, Tim. Oh, that is a bestial failure.
That's unfortunate.
Single success.
Oh man.
It can't be a bestial failure if you have a single success.
Well, I mean, that's the only dice that showed up was the bestial failure.
Okay, so that's no successes, and you have the bestial failure on a blood die.
The bestial.
That's a bestial failure. Okay.
Yes.
Zeke, in mid-sentence, turns to watch as the body is loaded onto a small litter, and 2 of the security personnel heft it and begin to walk away. Zeke, your eyes glaze over.
Yes.
There is a moment of convulsion, though you don't lose your stance. And you relive dragging bodies out of the chapel and feeding them through a shredder. One after another. And as you see each person, they cry out to you, why? Why? Why?
I'm gonna spend a blood point so I can start crying,
Sure. Absolutely.
or spend a hunger so I could.
Absolutely.
I'm
Making a rouse
hunger.
check to blush
Okay.
of life to cry real tears, or are you just crying blood tears?
He's blood tears. He's
Blood tears.
not in
Okay,
a
you don't have
conscious
to rouse
state
for that.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, that just happens, dude.
Oh well, in that case, yeah. In that case, I'm just crying blood tears as I'm hearing all these voices.
So Annabelle, Virginia, and Tim see him stop as he watches the body, and blood tears start streaming down his face as he has a blank stare, milked over eyes. This
Words
seems to
trying
be,
to form but not forming.
for you, Zeke, this vision goes and stretches out for what seems like hours, as every single person that you disposed of takes the turn of trying to find out why is this happening. It seems utterly real for you. You can feel their bodies in your hand. You can feel the moisture of blood. You can smell the blood. You can still hear the echoes of the crying children as they're being made to forget and carted away. For the rest of you, he snaps to in a matter of
He is
seconds.
screaming in his head.
Jonathan, you hear as you begin to feed Ada a scream come from outside the office. And it's a terror scream. It's the scream of someone in terror.
Is that coming from me?
Yes, most surely. It lasts a few seconds. I don't know if he would continue screaming when you come out of it or not.
Yes. For probably 15 seconds or so.
So
He's
yeah,
not going to get the chance to scream for 15 seconds.
and why is that, Annabelle?
Annabelle is going to cross over to him and she's just going to whisper into his ear, Mr. White, you have power. Don't let your fears consume you.
You hear
And if
her
he wants
voice
to keep screaming, she might stake him.
as you come out of your slight trance. And the last face you see yourself feeding into the chipper is that of Annabelle.
Not her. Please. Dear God. It can't be her. Why? Why am I such a monster? Ah!
He cries all this out loud.
Yes. I'm
Can't
the
hear you, Tim.
monster. The villain.
Well, that's very touching.
Yeah. I'm going to bed. If you guys need a vehicle,
Yeah,
hit me
sounds
up.
good.
We did this. We're the monster. We ate them. Yes.
Okay. Tim and Virginia find their way down the stairs to where some kind of makeshift apartments have been set up, leaving Annabelle and Zeke to deal with Zeke. Jonathan, Ada does eventually respond to your feeding and comes to, still staring at the door as if she sees something there.
Hey, are you okay?
Who was that? Who was that?
That's someone that I have to be involved with.
You know her?
Loosely.
Jonathan,
Met nights ago.
She's dangerous.
Yeah. That's
no, you
that's
don't.
Not just,
Jonathan.
No,
Jonathan. She looks around. She drank someone old. She's dangerous. He's with her.
Actively?
Yes. Rides her like a shadow.
I'm gonna. Is there anything else I should know, like about where we were, about?
I can't think. It lingers. It's right there.
But
Jonathan, we've got to get away from these people.
Yeah, I know. And I'm getting you out first, and then I will get out.
And that
I will.
Is where we're going to pause for the evening. Jonathan, you can finish real quick if you'd like.
It's going to say, how tight does security look right now?
From
Just
inside
curious.
This office, you have no clue.
Like, I would probably walk out with her.
I imagine when you get her calmed enough and righted and walk out, you will see a flurry of activity. Security looks pretty tight right now.
And Tim hasn't gone to bed yet.
You guys said you were going downstairs.
Oh no, I was talking to Miss Stone.
Right, and she said she was heading it.
I said I'm going to bed.
Oh yeah, I said I'll reach out about the car. That's what I was talking about.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was like, fuck this. I'm going to bed.
I was enjoying the Suffer Puppet Show, you know.
I think we can save the rest for next time.
Seems fair.
So that is where we're going to break for the evening, my friends. Thank you guys for playing. As always, you guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you for joining us, viewing audience. We love and appreciate you always. Thank you for sticking around and putting up with our technicals and my lack of hat at wink, nod.
I see you, Shank.
We are
Peer
going
pressure.
to open our Zoom meeting and put the invite out in the Discord for Prince William by Night under the McStabbers Discord. Please feel free, run our link so people know where to find us. And as always, when we end for the evening, we like to go around the table and also with our audience, get highs, lows, and nominations for extra XP for each of our sessions. And this evening, we are going to start with Mr. Zeke. High, low, and a nom, sir.
Whoo! Sorry, I'm just going through a little bit of a woo rush. High point. Finally getting to have another premonition. Low point. Getting to have another premonition. Those are always fun, though. I will say this: those are always a fun time. Technical difficulties stalked. But they are what they are. And I really liked how the Major interacted with everybody, trying not to kill every one of us while receiving vital information.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
To try.
Oh no, there was every new thing was just...
Every extra shred of evidence, you were just like, what in the F? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but some of it wasn't our fault this time.
No, none of it was your fault. It's real life. Yeah, go on, Zeke. I apologize.
Nomination goes to Mr. Delaney, Major Delaney. That was beautiful, beating your guard to death.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I didn't want to like go full tilt and boogie, to be quite honest with you, because loud blowing out speakers and things like that.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, that was beautiful, the way that you channeled that rage into something productive. Well,
You can actually get loud.
Productive.
We have controls on the audio that goes out to the stream to keep that from blowing out speakers.
oh, fantastic! Noted.
But my ears.
that's why I scream.
Virginia.
Stop. Sorry, it's getting booted by my dog. High, low, and a nom. Well, I would say the high would be, once again, excellent role play. Y'all are fantastic to work with. It is quite a bit of fun. My low would probably have been the Major beating the life out of one of his
Yeah.
people, I guess. I was like, oh dear, that's a big breach of etiquette. That's not cool. So there's that. My nom would probably go to... That's a hard one. I would say actually Mr. Keats, because of the constant snide comments. I do quite appreciate this. It is constantly a source of entertainment, and thank you, sir.
Am I a Lasombra, or is it just shady in here?
It's hella shady, and I love it. Dish it.
Jonathan.
Yeah, a lot of really good scenes with players. Low point for me was me. I don't know. I felt like I think not that I did bad. I just felt like the emotions were very high these last few episodes, and this is like a very come down episode, even though the action was very high for me. So just that dichotomy, like going in my brain, just didn't click. But nah, they all. High point, phenomenal. Annabelle, like I'm finding out more creepy stuff about you, and you're creeping it up, being a creeper. Major, like you're always on point. Tim, like you were so level-headed and very practical, like you always are, and you stopped me from being more of a brouhaha a lot of the times. Humanity, Zeke.
Are you a brouhaha?
Yeah, Zeke, you're that was really good with the last bit with your premonition. But
Thank you.
I have to give it to somebody. I'm gonna go with the Major.
Hey, no problems, man.
Tim.
Major deserves it.
So no low for me tonight. High was definitely the RP. Just the whole shebang. I think everyone did really great. MVP has got to go to the Major though. The level of what the fuckery this evening was a joy to watch across your face. So that's where my point goes.
Excellent. And
You're finally getting brought down to our level.
Sucker.
It's like, oh, people losing their shit and going wild. Yeah, there's that's going around lately. I don't know what it is.
High point, probably seeing the Major lose his cool. It's nice to know he's just as much a monster as the rest of us. Secondary high point, though, would be Probably Mr. White. He thinks himself a monster, but it's so cute. Low. I don't really know. Probably me. I have not done a whole lot these last few nights, so MVP. That's difficult. I feel like Mr. Keats gets it for me this week. I know he wasn't like crying in a cell or beating himself to a pulp, but he does always seem to shine.
Excellent. And Mr. Delaney.
Major.
Gonna do that on purpose.
And I'm going to do that on purpose. All right. One batch, two batch, penny and dime, right? High point. Okay, so when I can't think of his name now off the top of my head, but the Sabbat that Annabelle diablerized,
Aaron.
Theron, yeah, him coming to the table and playing, and her reaction to it was. So yeah, Annabelle gets the nod from me this week. Low point. So the frenzy check started when that
Letter?
no, oh god, no.
Whenever we said
when the police chief started just acting a damn fool, even though I'm like, I'm willing to pay you for your services. And he's just like, I don't know why you're here. And I'm just like, I'm gonna stab this motherfucker.
I was like, diffuse.
Yeah, and so finally I'm just like, all right, you know what, William Abernathy, that's who you're looking for. Go forth and prosper, you simple
Boob.
rube. You are not worth the time to cultivate, and I will be finding a replacement for you very soon.
I'm just gonna replace the chief of police.
I'm a venture
How
baby.
ventrue.
That's what I do. The halo isn't held up by horns; it's held up by the crown. Yeah, but that's when the frenzy check started, and then I had a couple of messies in there that I had to roll to avoid, so I was losing willpower. And then by the end, it was just time. It was just time. And that's when the backhand of my lore sheet comes. Like the forehand is great. The forehand is wonderful. The forehand does so much for me. It's the backhand that hurts, and then having to actually enforce one of my convictions on myself, in penance for my own sins. If you don't mind, I'd like to roll remorse now, since the next time we wake up will be, and we can do it on stream real quick. I have one stain, correct?
You have one stain, sir.
lose that humanity.
I have 3 successes. So actually, I have 5 successes. So
that will clear the stain.
Mm-hmm.
So you will wrestle before sleeping, coming to grips with the actions, the loss of control.
I am sowing my failure into my flesh.
But it will be enough for you to come to grips with it when we start next.
So that's my high, that's my low. Sorry, I rambled on a bit.
Oh,
there
you're
was
fine.
a lot. There was a lot this week. And
High for me.
winter contingency is going to be fun.
For who?
The Justicars.
Yeah.
High for me was outstanding role play this week, you guys. Every one of you was absolutely fun to interact with each of you.
I said my nom went to Annabelle for her interactions with
I got
her ghost with her ghosty.
Um,
Okay, sorry, go on.
Oh yeah. So yeah, high points for me is like the Salubri making the discovery, and just coughing it up to Jonathan because she would. They've had a long time relationship for many years, and yeah, when the taint gets bad enough, things around you are affected by it. And it becomes more and more noticeable as time goes on, as humanity slips. And I love how you portray that. I think that's fantastic. Bringing Theron out as your beast's voice was fantastic. I thought that was just so appropriate at the moment, and you played it out so well. Thank you. Bruja gonna do Bruja, and he does it so well.
The funny
Zeke,
part was anybody thought I had a chance.
Psyche, every time I get to torture with your psyche, thank you. If I ever go too far, please let me know.
No. This is me giving you permission to do a episode or permission once an episode.
I like that we're getting a little bit deeper into our characters' backgrounds and pulling more of that into the frontline story. That for me is absolutely a blast. Low for me is anytime we have an empty seat at the table, that's a low for me. Yeah. Let's see. Based on audience and other votes, Major, you get an extra XP this week with an honorable mention to both Jonathan and Annabelle. Everybody takes their 2. And we are going to roll a quick PSA because, as I discussed with Zeke about mental health and getting to torture his psyche, we do actually take that stuff very seriously, and we like to look out for each other, and we should be mindful of one another. If you haven't reached out to your friends or haven't heard from them in a while, do it. Say hi. It doesn't cost anything and doesn't hurt most of the time. So yeah, we will post a link for our Zoom after the PSAs finish. Thank you all once again for joining us this week, and we look forward to seeing you all next week. We love you all. Thank you once again, and roll credits, as the saying goes.
Hello, I'm Nick Weird. You may know me as Chops. I'm here to remind you that your mental health is a very important thing. We all have problems, and sometimes it can be hard to share them because we don't want to burden other people, or we're too afraid or ashamed of the things we've done to even try. But your friends and family are here for a reason. They'd much rather hear about what's happening in your life than ever hear that something terrible has happened to you. And if you feel like you can't talk to your friends or family, there's resources available for that too. Please reach out to them. There's no need to go through this alone. We all need help sometimes, and there's no reason to feel ashamed or feel afraid to ask for it, especially if you need it right now.
If you or someone you know is in crisis, whether they are considering suicide or not, please call the toll-free lifeline at 800-273-TALK. Again, that is 800-273-8255 to speak with a trained crisis counselor 24/7. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline connects you with a crisis center in the Lifeline network that is closest to your location. Your call will be answered by a trained crisis worker who will listen empathetically and without judgment. The crisis worker will work to ensure that you feel safe and identify options and information about mental health services in your area. Your call is confidential and free. Unable or unsure about calling? Text NAMI, that is NAMI, to 741-741 to connect with a trained crisis counselor to receive free 24/7 crisis support via text message. Again, text NAMI to 741-741. You are not alone. Trained expert advocates are available 24/7 to provide confidential support to anyone experiencing domestic violence or seeking resources and information. Help is available in Spanish and other languages. Call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 800-799-SAFE. Again, that is 800-799-7233. If you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, help is available. Call the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 800-656-HOPE. Again, that number is 800-656-4673. To connect with a trained staff member from a sexual assault service provider in your area that offers access to a range of free services. Disaster Distress Helpline. Call 1-800-985-5990 or text TALK WITH US to 66746. The Disaster Distress Helpline provides immediate crisis counseling for people who are experiencing emotional distress related to any natural or human-caused disaster. The helpline is free, multilingual, confidential, and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call 1-800-985-5990 or text TALK WITH US to 66746. Again, the number is 1-800-985-5990 or text TALK WITH US to 66746.